Hi, I'm Natasha with Cricut. Today I'm going to show you how to make a doormat and how I'm using my Cricut to do that. I love being able to personalize and customize my own things because who likes buying boring things from the store that everyone can buy themselves? I like making my own things. I'm going to use my Cricut Explorer 3 to make my stencil for my doormat today. So along with that, I'm using iron-on material. There are lots of different ways that you can make a stencil, but today I'm choosing to use iron-on. Along with that, I'm using my Cricut EasyPress. And you'll also need some butcher paper, some acrylic paint, a color of your choice, and then some other tools. I have some scissors, a weeding tool, which I'll explain in a second, and a Bristle paintbrush. I also have some painter's tape just in case I want to use extra reinforcement. The last thing we'll use is Design Space, which is the software where I can design and customize anything my mind can make up, and then it'll send over to the machine so it can work its magic. So let's start in Design Space. I've opened up this ready-to-make project, but I want to change this name and personalize it, so I'm going to change it to Johnson's. And I love that there are ready-to-make projects because sometimes if I don't feel like designing something, then I can just take something else that someone else has designed and make it my own. So I changed my name and I'm making sure everything is centered up where I want it, and then we're ready to cut. So I'll hit Make It. Because we're using iron-on, I'm going to press this mirror button. And mirroring is helpful when you're using anything with heat, and I'll explain that in just a second, but let's make sure our device is connected. I'll go ahead and open up my Cricut Explorer 3, and it looks like we're connected via Bluetooth. And we're going to use Smart Iron-On today. What I love about Design Space is it helps me, guides me, and teaches me everything that I need to do. So I have a little reminder here that my mirror needs to be turned on and that the material needs to be shiny side face down. So with iron-on, there are two sides. There's a shiny side and a matte side, and I'm gonna do the shiny side down. I'm using these guiders here to help me know where to put my material, and I will press this blinking button to help me know it's time to load my material. The best part about Cricut is that it will do all the thinking for me. So it's going to measure out exactly how much material I need, and so I don't have to do any of the heavy lifting. And the Go button is blinking, so we're going to press that to tell the machine we're ready to cut. It's crazy to me how fast this thing goes. This is cutting faster than it takes me to check my mail. Okay, and now that this button is blinking, it's time to unload. And as you can see, there's a lot of excess material, so we are going to trim that down. And we're gonna make sure that I don't cut the actual design. It can be tricky with the white sometimes. There we go. And we'll set this aside for future projects, as well as this. Now we're gonna use this weeding tool that looks a lot like a dental tool, but it's helpful for crafting. And because we're using a stencil, we are going to take out the parts of the material that we don't want transferred onto the mat. So in this case, it's the letters. So I'm going to start here at the edge of a letter and slowly pick up the design. And it's really easy to weed iron-on. It's honestly really satisfying. Like if you're ever bored, sometimes I'll just do this for fun. Okay. So I'm taking out the letters because this is going to be a stencil. So if I wasn't making a stencil, then these are the parts that I'd want to keep and transfer onto like a t-shirt or something. But because I'm using this as a stencil, everywhere that I'm taking out is where the paint is going. So it looks like I have everything weeded, and you can even double check by flipping it over and making sure that it looks right. And it does. So we're gonna move on to the next part. I'm going to turn my Cricut EasyPress on and let that heat up. We're going to lay this out just to protect my table. Okay, this thing is bigger than me. We're fine. So does it make sense why I mirrored this now? The material cut on this side, because the shiny side is the protector when I use heat against it. So when I flip it over, that is why I mirrored it, because we wanted it to be backwards. And then when I lift up the backer, this will be the right way instead of backwards. Okay, this is still heating up, but I am going to go ahead and start since it takes a little bit. So I've gotten some questions on why we can use iron-on a mat. And iron-on is activated with heat. So it becomes sticky once heat is on it, and that's why it sticks to things like shirts. The reason why people probably normally wouldn't think of a mat is because there are so many different layers and dimensions to a mat that it'll only stick to the surface, so it's not as permanent as some other things would be, like it would be on a shirt. And because it beeped, we are ready to move on to the next part. Okay, so I've just finished using the EasyPress for 30 seconds on each part of the stencil, and this is the part that makes me a little nervous because we are going to try and pull up the backer from the stencil. So I'm going to go to a little corner here. Okay, it's fine that I messed up here because it's just a corner. It's not gonna affect the stencil at all. But I'm just gonna slowly peel away. And it looks like it might need a little more heat, so I'm just going to use my EasyPress again. And it's perfect. We have a little corner to test out on. I'm gonna be honest, y'all. I've made this once before, so I've had one success. Let's try to recreate that again. Okay. And we'll wait for that to cool a little bit. So if you start to notice when you're peeling up that it's not quite sticking, that's okay. You can just use your EasyPress and heat it up again. It's really right around the letters where you're gonna use it as the stencil where that really matters more. So that looks good there. But this part is lifting up, so I'm gonna use my EasyPress again. Did it. All right, now the iron-on looks a little wrinkly, kind of like what your skin looks like when you're in the pool too long, but that's okay. We're just using it as a stencil, and all of the letters look like they're where they're supposed to be. So now we get to do the fun part, which is getting to the paint. So I'm using regular acrylic paint, and I'm actually just gonna pour it right onto where I'm painting. Little sections by sections. Then I'm gonna grab my bristle brush. There's an alliteration tongue twister for you. And I'm just gonna start patting, patting, patting. And I just do it section by section so that the paint doesn't dry out or seep into it too much. But we'll do 2 coats of this. And then I'll pour again, section by section. And I'm just patting the bristles of the brush into the bristles of the mat. What I found was helpful last time I did it was just straight up and down. I'm just paintbrush up and down into the bristles of the mat. Maybe I should try a different way. I don't know, this way worked for me. So I'm just gonna do it again. Keep on brushing. on dabbing. I'm going to keep on dabbing through the rest of these letters, and then I'll meet you back here. Okay, now that I've painted everything and waited for it to dry, it's the best part, which is the part where you get to take the stencil off and see the pretty paintwork that you did. So I'm slowly peeling away, and you can start to see the crisp lines that the stencil gave us. Okay, this is why I love using iron-on instead of vinyl, because look at the crisp lines it gave me. It worked so well. And it was way easier than using vinyl and transfer tape. So I suggest using iron-on. Okay, look how cute this mat turned out. I love it. It's just as big as I am, but my own personalized mat that I made myself. And this is perfect when you need to change out for different seasons. It's great for gifts if you want to give a housewarming gift, if you need a wedding gift. Everyone loves a personalized doormat. There are so many things that you can make with Cricut and lots of videos on how to do that. So be sure to check them out.